They say karma never asks questions. It doesn't demand explanations. It simply waits. Time changes its path. It changes its faces, but its destination never changes. A fire is sometimes lit for someone else, but one day that same fire returns to claim its rights. Today's. This night is similar. A thick layer of ashes settles in a deserted crematorium away from the main ghat. It's a pyre is breathing its last amidst half-burned wood. In front of that dying fire, an Aghori sadhu sits, his eyes closed, his body covered in ash, dreadlocks bearing the weight of time. His lips are constantly muttering mantras. They are voiceless, but they are accomplished. And with each mantra, with that, he picks up ashes from the ground and hands them to the fire. The fire flickers strangely. Getting up. She doesn't want to. The monk's breathing becomes heavy. Devotion's hands rise. As if. Immerse yourself completely in the action. Then suddenly the fire goes out. A eerie silence descends. The monk presses his forehead to the ground, and when he looks up again, a figure emerges from the ashes and wood. Slow, yet silent. A woman. No screams or struggles in the soul. Just a gaze filled with unbearable authority. He looks directly at the saint. A slight smile appears on the monk's face. He feels his ritual is successful. But the smile freezes in an instant. One of her Rudraksha beads crumbles to ashes. It falls at. A thin line appears on her chest, as if someone has cut through it without touching it. The wind dies down. The sound of the river fades, and the next moment, the monks are panting. Aghori sadhu collapses on the ground. The Aghori sadhu lies motionless on the cold ground. Around him are the demons. His worship items are scattered. Ashes still cling to his body. Slowly, his body is. His eyes open. He sits up in a panic. The pyre behind him is completely ablaze. That's it. A faint glow of embers remains. He stares at her, confused, wondering what she did to him. He hadn't left. Then he looked around, looking for that soul, but he's nowhere to be found. He tries to chant again. His lips move, but there's no sound. Doesn't come. There's no movement in the fire. Even the wind stands there, as if unconcerned. For the first time, his fear wells up in his eyes. Without a word, he packs up his things and heads for the crematorium. Lost in his thoughts on the dark path that leads to the woods. A layer of ash moves gently behind it, as if some unseen object has now passed by. Aghori sadhu returns to his ashram and a crowd of villagers gathers there. Is found. He sternly brushes everyone aside and pauses as he steps inside. The storm has turned his ashram into a heap of rubbish. Dirt is everywhere. Wood and scattered belongings lay scattered. The things he had collected after years of meditation had all been reduced to dust. The scriptures are torn apart. The idols are broken, and the place is. There is no trace of mercy or holiness left anywhere. It is as if someone. His faith and austerity may have been deliberately crushed. Sir, how did this happen? It doesn't matter. To a saint, everything is like ashes. But Maharaj Ji, not a single house in the village is as good as ashes. It didn't happen. But look at the idols of gods in your own home. Does this signal any danger? God will bless everyone. Rest assured. Go home, everyone. I'll see to it. I will. The villagers agree with him and leave one by one. Later, the Aghori sadhu is left completely alone. He looks around at the devastation. He watches silently. He gazes at his ashram, broken and reduced to ashes. Then, he stands there and begins to chant and slowly closes his eyes. In the silence, only his breathing and unfinished prayer remain. Aghori. A monk sits near the fire pit and chants a mantra. Upon completion, he throws a pinch of ashes into the fire out of habit. But the fire goes out instantly. He jerks away. He opens his eyes. The sight of this tragedy before him leaves him breathless. What? This has never happened. No, this is a terrible disaster. When he thinks about it, as he sinks into he hears a child's laughter. He turns his head. He looks into the woods and sees a girl standing in the distance. Who are you, girl? She remains silent. Don't be afraid. I won't do anything to you. Who are you? The child suddenly. She turns and runs into the forest. The monk gets up and chases after her. But in an instant, she disappears into the trees. He turns around. But somewhere, there's no trace of him. As he turns to return to his seat, he hears a whisper. It's Sweeney. Is startled, he steps back and shouts loudly. Who are you? The forest seemed to echo endlessly with his name, echoing back from every direction. Unable to bear the shrill and disturbing sound, he pressed his ears and ran out of the forest with his heart pounding with fear. The Aghori Sadhus were carrying out the last rites. He reaches the cot and his eyes fall on the wooden board on which he had recently written. The names of those cremated are inscribed at the same spot where his body was meditated. The meditation was broken. As he read the names, he realized that the body. He was waking her up. She was a transgender woman. Her name was Aparajita. A wave of confusion spread through his mind. If this woman was Aparajita, then who was Ashwini? This question plagues his mind. Confused, he turns away and walks away, leaving behind a trail of mystery. Wooden boat. An Aghori Sadhu sits on his bed, trying to chant a sacred mantra. But his mind suddenly goes blank. He forgets everything. Shabd mantra bhakti. As if someone had veiled his memory. Om Kreem Shreem Va Om Kreem. Om Borbhuva. His eyes suddenly open, bright and wide, and he immediately realizes is approaching, and something has already begun. Fear flashes in his eyes. His throat feels dry. He tries to stand up. He goes to get water from the clay pot. But to his surprise, he notices that the pot is missing. His hands frantically search for it. He stumbles across some old scriptures and forgotten relics, which he brings back home, which he had overlooked while cleaning. He takes out the scriptures and begins to read. As he carefully flips through the pages, his disciple from the village, Satish, arrives at the door. Appears. Sir, come Satish, how did you end up here today? I was just passing by. I thought I'd catch up. Well done. And tell me, how's everything going? Everything's going well. It's, Maharaj Ji. I have a small program planned in the village. I would really appreciate it if you would come there. Absolutely. What's the plan? My younger sister's wedding is just finalized, so to celebrate that, please come and give your blessings. Give us. We'll definitely come. Satish nods in agreement and quietly leaves. The scriptures are left lying there. Aghori Sadhus attend Sachin's sister's wedding. He was sitting at 10 o'clock, where the villagers were gathered to celebrate. He sat away from the crowd. Everyone watched quietly. A little girl was singing on stage. Her voice was delicate, but she was attractive, and the monk was watching her intently. Suddenly, he felt strange. The ceremony, the sounds of laughter and joy had faded away and darkness descended. In the silence, a faint clapping sounded. It sounded strange, like the clapping of eunuchs. His eyes widened. Heart starts beating fast and he sees that it is actually the villagers who are looking after the girl. Were clapping at the performance. A little fear crept into his mind and he wanted to leave, but then he saw a transgender man sitting on the steel counter next to him. The spirit of is standing there, clapping softly. He turns in fear, but no one was there. When he looks at the counter again, this time the spirit has disappeared. It was sensing something unusual. He didn't waste any time and ran away, terrified. Now his thoughts were heavy. The monk ran through the forest. His mind was a jumble of memories. Was surrounded in Then suddenly old memories started emerging in front of him in the form of a glimpse. Ashwini, who is raised with love and guidance by a group of transgender people, stood on stage, singing in her melodious voice. She was singing a song. She taught the villagers not to believe in superstitions and to respect all religions equally. It was, "You people shouldn't promote such superstitions. God belongs to everyone. We all have equal respect for him. The community of saints is filled with his powerful presence and..." Awareness was enraged. Calling Ashwini a witch, the villagers dragged her deep into the forest. He was bound in chains and seated among a circle of monks who were chanting. Was busy. The entreaties of the eunuchs and the prayers of Ashwini were ineffective. The monk, without mercy, set him on fire with a piece of burning paradise. Kimball begins clapping his hands in anger. His voice echoes through the forest, and he curses the villagers and the monks. "You people have murdered my daughter. This eunuch's curse has engulfed this village. He'll ruin everything." Satish goes to his father, stressed and worried. Went and explained the whole thing to him. "Papa, there was a major short circuit outside the pavilion." As his father turns to him and is about to say something, suddenly, a massive explosion engulfs the entire area in its terrible fire all at once. The monk watched the explosion from a distance. His eyes filled with tears. He turned around in fear. He starts running. Just then, Aparajita's spirit appears in his path. Seeing her, he falls to his knees, trembling. He starts begging for mercy. "Shyama Devi, I have made a huge mistake. What we did was wrong. We are ready to atone for this murder." Aparajita's soul is at peace. Her face, a faint smile of triumph appeared. Raising his hands, he lifted the monk into the air and he was dragged towards the spot where Aparajita was cremated. As he stood helpless, being pulled through the air, the beads of a Rudraksha rosary were being pulled from his body one by one. The beads began to fall. The last Rudraksha bead landed right in front of the crematorium entrance. With tremendous force, Aparajita threw him into the air and the monk fell straight to the spot. The place where the body was cremated fell down. All the other transgender people were standing there in a circle. One of them carried forward the same piece of sandalwood burning in the fire. Aparajita lifts it towards the sage and the sage trembles and begs for mercy. "No, no, no, forgive me." Aparajita's burning fire fell on the monk, and it explodes into flames. Her screams echo through the air, and suddenly, cut to the scene where he brutally burned Ashwini.